Hello, welcome to another episode of Massachusetts. I'm your host, Bob Tremblay. Well, we haven't posted in a while. I was away with work. I'm going to make a video about that pretty soon too. But anyway, the winter that never was is quickly disappearing. But I'm up here in Ashuelot, New Hampshire on the rail trail, and we have found some conditions that are hidden by the sun on the snowmobile trail. Things are a little icy, but we're running along pretty well. And so thanks for joining us. We're gonna run with the dogs, Bandit and Shiva, here in Ashuelot, New Hampshire. Okay, you guys ready? Let's go. Hup, hup. Good dogs, let's go. Hup. Well, thanks for joining us. Today we're going to go dog sledding along the Ashuelot Rail Trail in Ashuelot, New Hampshire, along the Ashuelot River. So I got the dogs hooked up and we'll get on our way. Hup, hup, hup. There's several things I really like about this trail, but most obvious as we start here is that it passes by the ruins of the old Paper Services Limited paper mill. And so kind of passing by these rail cars and the old empty factory buildings, it's kind of like dog sledding through a ghost town. I kind of like just the historic and sort of the industrial abandonment look of it. This big void space you see here is they are starting to kind of clear up some of the buildings. So that big void right there between those two buildings was a factory that they've actually have removed. Once we get past the factory, what I like next about this trail a lot is you can see on our right hand side is we follow the Ashuelot River. And it's really a beautiful section of river. It's a technical whitewater section. Just full of rapids going from the dam at the old mill building and then kind of running along the river. So it's very scenic to be kind of running along and with this really wild river on your right hand side. But one of the things that is just really most special about this particular rail trail is that it holds its snow. So this trail is used as a snowmobile trail. And because it's used as a snowmobile trail, it's groomed by the state of New Hampshire. And also it gets all the impact of the snowmobiles that go on it. So you can count on it for being a pretty good trail base due to the grooming and due to the use of the snowmobiles. But then most uniquely is that because the trail is running alongside the south banks of the river, it's actually it's protected from the sun by the slopes on the left-hand side. So it's really on the north face of the slopes. So it doesn't get a whole lot of sun. And that means that you can really count on this holding snow longer than pretty much anywhere else. So the day that I rode right here with the dogs, there was nothing anywhere else. But this right here is my real ace in the hole. And we drove out there, and I'm really happy to see that it really panned out for us. This ends up to this date so far. This is some of the best trail conditions we've had all season. It was so nice to finally have the dogs and be able to run where they have good traction. They have the base is sufficient to cover anything that's down below, and there's this really good glide for the sled. And you can see the dogs are just really enjoying it, just trotting right along. Moving at a really good pace. At this point we had to pull over because Shiva had gotten tangled in her tug line, and so I went up to kind of get her out of the tug line. And what I didn't notice at the time, but I did notice in reviewing this video, was that I've lost one of my Microspikes. So you can see here is that when I'm sledding on icy conditions like this, I wear Microspikes so that I have some traction, and when I'm kicking the sled along, I can actually help the dogs instead of just kicking futilely without some kind of traction on my boots. So right there, at this point, I've lost one of my microspikes, but I'm unaware of it. And so we continue along on the trail for about another 2 miles. Just beautiful section of trail. Right here, you see that warning sign that went by. This section of the trail has been washed away by a landslide. And so you have to kind of scoot around it because it does slide down here, down to the river. And you see the dogs pass the hazard very, very easily. There's the snow fence up there to kind of warn for it. But anyway, uneventful. We're going along. You can get a sense of how steep the banking is going down to the river. Here we're starting to get close to the next neighborhood, the next road crossing on the trail. We're starting to run into some houses. You can see a house over there on the right-hand side. And you know, still conditions are really, really good. Dogs are moving on at a very happy clip. The temperature this day, it was kind of warm, probably about 38, maybe approaching 40, but we had sufficient shade here that the dogs weren't getting too warmed up. And like I said, they're having so little resistance on this icy surface that the sled's just moving along. They're easy. So here we are coming to the next road crossing. I didn't feel like going any further here, just because I didn't feel like kind of crossing this dry spot. But up ahead, if you do continue, it's neat because the trail does cross this road, and the house on the other side, you can kind of see the roof right there. There's actually an old depot there, and so there's a home there that's actually it's now used as a residence in this old train depot building, and they have an old caboose there as well that they converted a part of their house. So here we are, we've turned around, we're heading back. Dogs are always great at kind of turning around and heading back. It's one of the things that this little team of mine is excellent for. We took a short water break, and then I still did not realize that I was missing a microspike. But in reviewing this video, I see that I am missing it. We continued on, and shortly after we continued on is when I realized that I am missing a microspike. And so I stopped, and I actually go back to look for it. Well, we're on our return run back, and I just noticed that I'm missing my microspike for my left boot. So I just unhitched the dogs. We walked back about half a mile to see if I could see it on the trail. It wasn't, so I must have lost it further up here. So we're doubling back. So we should find it. But anyway, fingers crossed. I found my microspikes. All right, let's go. After about a mile, I can see them up ahead of us on the trail. I can see them right now, and I'm commenting about it in the video, but you can't hear it over the sound of the sled on the ice. But the microspikes are there, so I'm pretty happy about it. I'm going to stop and pick them up and put them back on. There they are right there. Oh, great. Let's set that hook. I'm glad to have these microspikes. When we're running on hard-packed trail like this, it's nice to be able to assist the dogs and to have some traction. I can't believe that I didn't notice that I had lost this one. It must just be because I was kicking so little. But anyway, got it back. There we go. Back on. Fully spiked up. Thank you, dogs. All right, let's go. So this out and back run made for a total of just about 4.5, 5 miles of sledding, which was great. Better short run than no run at all. But also too, it says we're going back on this old rail trail, we have to pass by the old mills again. So kind of the story here, this was the Paper Service Limited paper mills They did make wrapping paper and light tissue paper like that for Christmas tree shops and other businesses. In 2005, the river flooded, kind of broke the dam and flooded the paper mill, and anyway, the mill just never really recovered from that and was abandoned and has fallen into this kind of disrepair as we see here. But for now, it's kind of neat going by this old relic. So here we are coming back up to the end where we're parked. If we continued going this way, we'd go all the way to Keene, New Hampshire. If we continued the other way, we'd go all the way to Brattleboro, Vermont. Really, really a great trail, worth running on. It's a good one with sleds. It's a good one also too with biking later on this season. So here we are heading back to our parking area, and I'm going to talk about microspikes a little bit more too. So
Good dog.
I'll set my hook, and then I'll kind of stop the voiceover and let the real-time audio track take over. All right, for those of you that aren't familiar with microspikes, they are exactly that. They're not crampons, but they're spikes that go right underneath your boot. These are, the brand name is their microspikes. They just attach with this rubber gasket. Left and right foot are identical, but they give you that traction that you need when you're on this hard packed trail and you want to be able to assist your dogs. Highly recommend them. Makes it safer for you too.